It's a very warm welcome to all our viewers and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today, our program that brings you all the latest news and events happening inside the Black Continent. Of course, today, as usual, we'll start with a look at some of the news making the headlines, and we move straight away to South Africa that has just received the first batch of COVID-19 vaccines that are expected to help the country's efforts in stemming the spread of the virus. The 1 million AstraZeneca vaccine doses produced by the company are expected to be used to inoculate frontline health workers starting mid-February. We have more details in this story. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has eased some restrictions imposed due to COVID-19, including lifting a ban on alcohol sales. Beaches will reopen and limited religious gatherings will be allowed. The announcement came as Ramaphosa hailed the arrival of the first shipment of vaccinations, 1 million AstraZeneca doses, as a chance to turn the tide on COVID-19. South Africa has had the most COVID infections and deaths on the African continent. More than 1.4 million people have contracted the virus since the pandemic began. 44,164 are known to have lost their lives. Many countries have banned travel from South Africa in an effort to stop the spread of the highly infectious variant, which is believed to have originated there and which is suspected to be more resistant to vaccines. The country will remain in what is termed a level 3 lockdown, but a number of restrictions that had been in place will end. The 1 million doses will be given to healthcare workers, although no date has been set for the start of the rollout, and the number is still short on that needed just for the country's 1.25 million health workers. Ramaphosa has pledged to leave no stone unturned to reach herd immunity. The United Nations Refugee Agency said that violence and insecurity related to the recent elections in the Central African Republic has forced more than 200,000 people to flee their homes in less than 2 months. More than half are displaced within the country, but 92,000 people have crossed into the Democratic Republic of Congo, while more than 13,000 are now in Cameroon, Chad, and the DRC. We have the details. More than 200,000 people have fled fighting in the Central African Republic since violence erupted over a December election result. The UN Refugee Agency said nearly half of the refugees were crossing into the Democratic Republic of Congo. The CAR army, backed by UN, Russian and Rwandan troops, have been battling rebels seeking to overturn a December 27th vote in which President Faustin Touadéra was declared the winner. The nation of nearly 5 million people has struggled to find stability since the 2013 rebellion ousted former President Francois Bozize. The current fighting between a coalition of militias on the one side and the National Army and its backers on the other was sparked by a constitutional court decision to bar Bozize's candidacy in the presidential election. About 92,000 refugees have reached DRC and more than 13,000 have crossed into Cameroon, Chad, and the Republic of Congo. The rest are displaced inside the Central African Republic. Ongoing attacks have hampered humanitarian access. The main road used to bring supplies has been forced to shut inside the country, and many are now facing dire conditions. And continuing with more news, the Defense Minister Mohamed Zaki met on Monday with the visiting African Union Commission Chairperson Moussa Faki, where they discussed a number of issues of mutual interest. The meeting tackled the latest developments in Africa and their reflection on the continent's peace and security. We have more details in this story. Defense Minister Mohamed Zaki and the African Union Commission Chairperson Moussa Faki discussed a number of issues of mutual interest in a meeting in Cairo on Monday. The meeting tackled the latest developments in Africa and the reflection on the continent's security and peace, as well as how to address African challenges and consolidate security and stability. Minister Zaki expressed his pride in the strategic partnership between the Egyptian Armed Forces and the African Union Commission in various fields, particularly in peacekeeping in Africa. Faki, who is on a multi-day visit to Egypt, also expressed his aspiration for further coordination on issues of mutual concern. The meeting was attended by a number of high-ranking commanders from the Egyptian Armed Forces. On Sunday, Faki met with the President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, discussed a number of African issues, including the latest developments on the Ethiopian Renaissance Dam negotiations, which have been under AU auspices since last year. And now we're delighted to be joined over the telephone by Her Excellency Ambassador Saad Chalabi, the former Assistant to Foreign Minister. It's a very good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador, for joining us now. Of course, continuing his visit to Egypt, the AU Commission Chairperson Musa Faqih Mohammed met with the Defense Minister on Monday, Mohammed Zaki. What are the shared interests regarding the meeting between Cairo and the AU with regard to issues related to security and defense?
As you know, that Egypt and the African Union have a strategic partnership.
Yes.
And they have, Egypt is supposed to be the biggest major contributor of troops to UN peacekeeping in Africa, whether it is in military or police or civilians.
Yes.
So we have a lot of, since a long time, we have been participating in the African peacekeeping missions, and we have the Center for Cairo Regional Center for Training for Peacekeeping in Africa.
Yes.
So this is the major contribution. In addition, we have also we have shared interest in fighting terrorism, and this has been discussed in many of the summits before. And as you know, there have been many meetings. Of course, not this year because of the COVID, but before that, Egypt and the EU have been have submitted a strategy that all the countries in Africa have adopted to fight terrorism and to stop any means of sabotaging and
Yes.
Irritating the peaceful coexistence of the countries and the Africans in different fields.
Yes.
So the major issue between the Ministry of Defense and African Union is to adopt the strategy for fighting terrorism, and also to increase to solidify and stress on the strategic partnership between AU and Egypt in the field of peacekeeping missions.
Right. Madam Ambassador, now we've seen the discussions between General Zaki and the AU Commission Chairperson focusing on the upcoming African Summit, which is scheduled for February. What, in your opinion, are the expected issues that will be tackled during this African Summit?
Well, the theme of this, it's the 34th Summit, and it will be also online. I mean, it will be distance because of the COVID, but it will be, the theme of it is the cultural heritage of Africa. And of course, this is Egyptian contribution will be very important, because Egypt has a special place in Africa. You know, its location and its history and its the role that it plays, the soft power of Egypt in Africa. So there has been a lot of talk about how will Egypt contribute to Africa, whether it is with the culture in the field of cultural heritage, of course, because this is the theme, and how the women and children and the youth will have future to contribute to this culture heritage. Africa is known for its opportunities, not for challenges. So opportunities are there for the youth, for the women, because the percentage of the youth is over 60%. So these will be the future of African people. So they have to they have to base their future on the cultural heritage that they have gained during the past years of their leaders.
Ambassador,
and
also,
of course,
yes.
there are many items on the agenda, including, of course, the AfCFTA, which is the African trade agreement between all the African countries, which has been which has started in January 2021. It has been delayed because of COVID. There are also other items in the agenda, including how to African Union response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and the elections that will take place for the 6 commissions and the 4 judges and the 6 members of the rights of welfare of child. So they have a lot on the agenda.
Absolutely.
And I hope they can be able to do it on distance and not face to face, because
yes.
the ministers of foreign affairs will be meeting here in Tahrir Square. In Tahrir, in Tahrir Palace. That is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they will discuss all the agenda before the summit, which will take place on the 6th and 7th of February.
Right, right. Madam Ambassador, also we've seen earlier on Sunday, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi meeting with the AU Commission chairperson, and they discussed the situation in Libya and the situation in the Horn of Africa. 2 very important countries facing crises that are also priorities, really, for African nations.
Yes. President Fattah el-Sisi stressed in his meeting that Egypt will not spare any effort to support African brothers' cooperation, construction, and development for the sake of all African countries. Of course, Libya is a very important issue on the on the agenda of stability and security between, not only between Egypt and Libya, but also between Libya and other countries, because hosting terrorist activities in Libya is not going to do good to the African peace and security agenda. And we are asking that 2020 is silencing the guns. The agenda of 2063 has placed a timetable for peace and security. So 2020 is for silencing the guns. So Libya has accomplished a great deal, and now we are waiting that all the steps that have been taken to stop terrorist activities in Libya. In 2021, they will have many peaceful conferences that will lead to stopping the violence and stopping the terrorist activities, and also elections and establishment of the new government. So hopefully Libya will become peaceful again if they follow the timetable that has been put internationally.
Yes.
And the African Union also.
Yes. Madam Ambassador, we're also seeing the latest developments in the the Horn of Africa, and lots of developments in Central African Republic with lots of displacement because of the fighting. We're talking about over 200,000 refugees being displaced from their homes, moving across the border to DRC, etc. How do you see this as another priority for the African Union in the upcoming summit, and what are your expectations for the situation in that country?
Well, of course, the elections that happen in any country in Africa, it always triggers violence. And this time also in Central African Republic, because the election brought the same government and the same president, they have it has triggered also violence and displacement of refugees, and so this is very, very dangerous. And in spite of the fact that there has been a peacekeeping mission in Central African Republic for the last couple of years during the violence, but still they are not able to control the violence, and it is also spread not only mainly in the cities that are far from the capital. So that is why the peacekeeping missions are, for instance, in places in Delhi and in places near Chad and near the other countries that are also suffering from the
yes.
Instability in Central African Republic. So
Absolutely.
this, of course, you can never give. I mean, you can never know what is going to happen. But there are many efforts that have been done by African Union, by the UN, in order to keep the Central African Republic peaceful change of government or elections. I mean, peaceful elections. But unfortunately, since this happened, so maybe they will discuss more strict measures in order to keep the balance
Yes.
of the two conflicting parties.
Absolutely. I'm afraid that's all the time we have. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Madam Ambassador Saad Chalabi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us this afternoon and for your insight. And with that, we wrap up today's edition of Africa Today. My name is Angie Meher. Many thanks for watching.